so boastful or like coming off as like you're really trying to try hard to sell yourself. We're not trying to sell Sunset. You're just trying to sell stories. So 3 things. Focus on the impact and not the title. Like you want to be able to say, you know, as a result of this project, we increased productivity by 30%. That's a fact. It's not bragging, it's just a fact. The second thing is share the journey and not just the successes. You know, we really want to interrupt this hokey hope idea that people just pull themselves up by the bootstrap and they just got there, right? To be able to say like, hey, these were the setbacks, but that's how it helped us redefine strategy. And as a result, we came out more innovative or creative in this way. And then lastly, offer help or advice. Like I love it when people can share, you know, if anyone is wanting to try this thing, I'm happy to lend myself, share tips or advice, just reach out. So that you're still saying like, I accomplished this thing and I wanna help others do the same. Like that's just so much more inviting than to feel like I did this thing, period.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you wanna pass it along.
Yeah, and thank you for just kind of giving that overview, Bianca. I think also too, what would be interesting is to kind of hear how self-promotion can help, you know, take your career to the next level, or to, you know, maybe get an opportunity that you've always wanted, like your dream job. Tammy, you got a story, right, of how self-promotion kind of helped you out?
Yes, thank you, Trish. So in terms of self-promotion, I'll start out by saying I am Jamaican, and I always lead with that. I love leading with that. But I'm Jamaican, and as most people know, Jamaicans are known for many things, but lacking self-confidence is not one of them. However, despite my cultural upbringing, I inherently am introverted and a little bit shy. And so self-championing, self-advocating for myself was not something that came naturally to me. And I came up the traditional route within entertainment, mailroom, administrative assistant, executive assistant, floater, the full shebang. And so I was an EA for a very high-profile executive. And I went above and beyond, constantly. First one in, last one out. And in every single performance conversation, he would say, "You're amazing. Everything is going great. I don't have any negative or constructive feedback to share." And so I would say, "Okay, well, thank you." But I never, we never discussed promotions or a raise. And so after a few years, I was like, well, hold up.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, and we're not having a conversation about next steps. And so that's when I decided that I was gonna muster the courage and the strength to advocate for myself. And in doing so, he was smiling ear to ear, and he was like, "I've been waiting for you to come and have this conversation." And so I think that's important for many reasons. One, he was never gonna have the conversation with me because he wasn't going to assume or presume that I wanted to do something other than what I was doing, right? Because a lot of people stay in an EA track, it's lucrative, so he wasn't gonna make that assumption. And the second thing, which I think is complementary, but also you can judge for yourself how you feel about the second part, but the second part was, he said you were doing such an amazing job as an EA that I was never gonna promote you, or because I wanted you to stay, right? I wanted you to stay because you're the best assistant I've ever had. And that's interesting, right? Me self-advocating for myself led to me getting more money, and also led me to leave that company for a variety of reasons, but mainly because I wanted to do something other than what I was doing. But that self-advocacy helped me to get that raise that I probably wouldn't have gotten had I not had that conversation and championed for myself.
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for sharing that story, and I'm so glad that you decided to speak up for yourself, because here you are now, you know, killing it. All right. Cheryl, you know, I think what's really important too is for an organization to actually foster that type of culture where, you know, it rewards self-promotion. Can you talk a little bit about that, you know, especially at Starz?
Hello. When I think
about a culture that fosters self-promotion and encourages it, I think about cultures that have really open feedback, open conversations, they're inclusive. When you have an organization where you can have these types of conversations, so these conversations then become natural to have, they're expected to have. So if you're gonna have positive feedback, you're gonna have constructive feedback, you're gonna have conversations in teams about what's going on, what's not going on. You can share feedback, opinions, share what you've been doing well. It's just gonna be expected all around. You're gonna have those performance conversations. And I think those are what's really gonna move that along. And I think at Starz, that's something we really tried to foster as well, is that culture of feedback. And there's a lot of mechanisms that we have in place to foster these types of conversations and tools. But I think those are really key. And I think also where you recognize and reward folks, that accomplishments are recognized. You're gonna be natural to have those types of conversations. Great job on that project. Maybe you have kudos in your team meetings. You're just fostering that kind of recognition of each other that then again, it becomes natural to speak in that way. I remember at an organization I was at previously, there were employees who were frustrated when they weren't recognized. And the key example is a movie premieres on Friday. I show up to work on Monday and it's business as usual. There's no acknowledgement or talking about what had happened, whether the movie succeeded or bombed. And so what that resulted in, they're not having these conversations, right? You lost the opportunity to say, hey, good job on that, this is what we did well. And to recognize folks for their accomplishments. You also lost the opportunity to learn from that experience, but there's still recognition and self-promotion and learning from those experiences.